Okay, normally, we so for this network on switch one, if if I want to design it, normally this is supposed to be the gateway of that network. And the gateway is supposed to take 192.168.1.1. Then this network now, the second network on switch two, this is the gateway. And it's supposed to be first valid IP address of that network, which is 192.168.2.1. And I told you just about the gateway. Gateway is the point where hosts use to exit their own network. So if C5, for instance, wants to talk to C2, it will just send message straight to the gateway. Gateway will now route the message to the next network. Now I want it such a way that if you connect to any system, it will give you IP address straight away. So we are making this router DHCP server. Now, I've explained to you that the command to do it is what I have here, and that's what I want to explain what the commands are. Now, everything, as I said, all your configuration are done on a global mode, global conditional mode. Now you need to set up the pool name. Like I can decide to give these people the pool name. When I mean pool name, I mean as in DHCP pool name. Like this is a network. The pool of IP addresses that run from this one runs from dot one, two, three, four, five, six till 254. That's the network pool, IP pool. So I'm trying to give this network a name, a pool, I just say pool name. I can decide to call these people sales, for instance, and call these people production, production department and sales department. So the DHCP pool name for switch one, that's network one, I can decide to give it this. Maybe I can give it like sales, any name of your choice. If you have a domain name for your network, fine, you put it. Then you put your network. So my network is supposed to be what? 192.168.1.0 and 255.255.255. So that's what I'm supposed to replace here. My network with the attendant subnet max. Then the major important thing you need to use to configure are this number one. This is the first one you need to do. Of course, you create a name. The second one is this, the network. Then if you have a DNS server, you put it, and this. In fact, um, the major code that are needed when you're configuring your DHCP is this is number one, no, that is this place, number one, number two, and number three. These are the major, um, what do you call it? Major commands that you need when you're configuring your DHCP service on the router. Now, I've explained what number one does. You are giving your DHCP pool name. I can start to give sales. Then the network is supposed to be, okay, maybe I can be doing it here. I can just do, it will take our time. I'll just do on my global mode. I say IP DHCP, DHCP pool. I start to give it a name called sales. This will take our time. Oh. Then what is the network? The network is 192.168.1.0, then 255.255, and all of that. Of course, you know the subnet mask, what it's supposed to be. Then another thing is default default router. Default router is the IP address that router should use to give out the offer is 192.1.1. So these are the three basic commands that you need. The name of the DHCP, then the network, which is this, then the default router. Default router is supposed to be the gateway of that network. So what I'm trying to do is that I give a pool name and a network, and the router should make an offer, DHCP offer through an IP address called 1.1. This is it. So router will locate any IP address in itself that has this. It's from that IP address you could now offer this pool of IP addresses from 1.12342.255. You see, understand what I talked about this. When a client makes a demand, if this client now needs an IP address, it will send discover. This discover, DHCP discover is asking a server that it needs an IP address. That's the content of the message. Then the server will now make an offer. Like if the server is configured to be 192.168.1.0. So the server has .1, .2 till 254. So when this guy sends this demanding IP address, what software will now give as offer is the pool of address, valid IP address starting from .1 to that. So when he makes that offer, this system will now choose one particular IP address. For instance, choose .2 and now say, can I take .2? Then the server will now say acknowledged that you can take .2. So when another client sends this offer again, when the server is making an offer, it will not include .2 in the offer among the pool of IP addresses because it has previously acknowledged that someone have taken .2. So it has a record that someone have taken .2. So we're not going to offer .2 again for another client. If the second client takes .3, when it's offering to another person, it will not going to offer .2 and .3. So that there won't be conflict of IP address. So now we are now making router DHCP server, and this is the range of network is supposed to offer. So when it's making an offer, DHCP offer, it's going to offer from 192.168.1.2.3.4.5.6 and all of that till 254. And you're going to make that offer through an address in itself that has this. So of course, you're supposed to have given this place IP address before you now configure this, or however way, there must be IP address here so that it will not now offer the pool through this place. Now, other things are IP excluded address. You know that this place is 1.1, and when it is making an offer, it's going to offer from .1. So a system can possibly choose .1. So to avoid that, you now say IP DHCP excluded address. So any address you want to exclude, I can now exclude 192.168.1.1. If there's any other one I want to exclude, you now list them like that. But instead of listing the one after the other, I can do a range. When you look at this place, you see that it is 16.1.100 to 16.1 to 103. That means it excluded .100, .101, .102, and .103. So it now made a range. So I can make a range here too. Possibly, I could have a printer or another server or DNS that I want to give static IP address. Of course, you should know that servers always have static IP address. You don't leave server on DHCP. So possibly I have a server that I have a particular IP address I want to give it. I exclude it here. I have a printer and I have other things too, cameras that I don't want this router to share the IP address with. I exclude it so that whenever router is making an offer, it's not going to include all those addresses that I excluded. So that is why we're excluding IP addresses. And we do this one on the global mode. So this one, this guy, this guy, this line, this line, this line, and this line, they are all done under DHCP mode, except this one and this one. These two commands, you do it on the global mode. You don't do it on DHCP mode. As in, like when you type IP DHCP pool, as soon as you press enter, you now enter DHCP pool, uh, DHCP mode. So this one I put exteris, you don't add them there. You do them outside. You do them in your global mode. The rest are done on the DHCP mode. Now, lease. Lease is how long an IP address stays valid. If you leave it an infinite, that means it is final. If someone takes 1.2, the system will just keep record of it, and forever the person has that IP address. But you can actually make your lease in terms of days to expire after some days, some hours, and minutes. So if I want it to expire in 5 days and then 10 hours, 60 minutes, I'll just type lease 51060. So each time someone gets an IP address, the server will put a timer. As soon as this time elapses, that IP address is no more valid. You can now offer that IP address to another person on request. Now, I've done for sales. If I want to do for production, I will do IPDSB pool production. Network, I use network for production, and every routing I need to put. Default router is going to be 2.1 here because of the network I'm using and all of that. Now, how do we configure it? Let's go to configuration. So here on the configuration, I have two networks. One is sales, then the other one is production. Okay, so I now let me bring in my systems. So when I want to connect my systems, so I connect, of course I use Giga Ethernet from here. So this is my gateway here. So this one becomes gateway to these people. Then I can now run my systems. Okay, let me just connect all my system. Assume that this is what I'm doing in real life. So all my systems are connected and I want them to get IP address automatically. So I now come to my router. This is my router. So this interface for sales is Giga Ethernet 000, 0/0/0/0/0. So of course, when I open if I log into my router using any terminal emulation software, when I log into it, this is what I'm going to see. If I log into that, I hope we are seeing this. This is what I'm supposed to see. I'm now on the user mode. I hope you can see that. Can we see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So on
Yes.
on user mode, so I have to go to this on my privilege mode, then configure terminal. This is my global mode. Now I need to locate this interface, giga 0/0/0. So that interface is G 0/0/0. I'm now on interface mode now. What IP address I'm supposed to give it? Maybe I will want to give these people sales to be 192.168.1.0 network. Then production should have 192.168.2.0 network. So I will now continue. Since I'm doing on the sales, so my IP address for that is supposed to be IP address 192.168.1.1. That's my gateway for that network. Of course, 255.255.255.0 is supposed to be my subnet mask. I press enter. Now say no shutdown. No shutdown. The interface is up. Then I go to the other interface. I have to exit. So the next interface, see the interface is on now. So the next interface is G001. So I will now go to interface G0/0/1. I press enter. The IP address now is supposed to be 2.1. It's on different network. 2.1. Of course, I say no shutdown. No shutdown. It is up. So I've succeeded in configuring the two interfaces. Now, remaining DHCP. So DHCP for sales is IP DHCP pool. We give it like sales. I press enter. You see that I'm now on DHCP mode. So the network is supposed to be 192.168.1.0. Subnet mask is 255.255. Sorry, 255.0. That's my network. Now my default router is supposed to be my gateway. In fact, this is all that I need. If you want to do this, you put this. What again do you want to do? What else do we used to have there? If you want this,
Okay.
To exclude the
please can you say that again? I didn't get you. Hello.
that, I think we need to
So I lost that connection. Please can you say that again, please?
when you were asking of other things to configure, I said I think we need to
Okay, other things too. Like if I have a DNS server, I want to add a DNS server if I have one. If my DNS server is 192.168.1. For instance, 2, I press enter. Then if you check other things too, here, I've added DNS server. Lease. Okay, if I want to put lease, how long is supposed to stay before it will expire? Normally, packet trace does not accept lease. I'm not sure it accepts lease. If I say lease is maybe after 3 days, 3 days, uh, 5 hours, 30 minutes. It does not accept. It's not a command in packet tracer, but it's a command in real life. But normally, lease in packet tracer is infinite under default. So after this, this is just what I need. I've configured everything. Now, let me exit. You see that I'm still on uh, global mode. Sorry, I'm still on DHCP mode. And now exit. I want to exclude this IP address so that router will not offer 192.168.1.1, and the one I'm going to give DNS server, 192.168.1.2. So how do I exclude it? I am on global mode now. Now say IP excluded, sorry, IP DHCP excluded address, IP D DHCP excluded address, then 192.168.1.1 and 192.168.1.2. Maybe let me do to the 3. So I'm excluding from dot 1 to dot 3. Dot 1, dot 2, dot 3. So I'm excluding them. So I'm going back to go and configure for production. So this is my production.
Domain name.
Okay. Can you say that again, please?
No, I said domain name, if there's any.
Okay, domain name. Okay, I'll come back to domain name. I didn't do domain. Domain name, you do it on global mode. That is if you have a domain name in your network. I'll come back to domain name, but you do it on global mode. Okay, let me do it now. I think it's better. IP domain name, for instance. Domain name. My domain, let me call it Cisco. Cisco.com. That's my domain name. So I've succeeded in excluding this. You see that I did it on global mode. I succeeded in doing this. Is on global mode. So back to the DHCP proof for production. So I am on production. Enter. So that's for production. Then the network for production is supposed to be 2.0. 2.0. You see that what I put here is a network address, not an IP address. So network 2.0. So their what do you call it? Their default router is supposed to be 2.1. So that's all that I need. Maybe they are using the same DNS server, fine. So excluded IP address. Let me exit. So let me exclude the IP address. I exclude 2.1 for their gateway to 2. Possibly 2.2. If I don't have any other one, I am done. So as I save, I do right. I've saved my configuration. Now, if I get to this system now, desktop IP is on static. If I click on DHCP, it requests for IP address. It has gotten. See the IP address 1.4. I hope you can see that. DNS server is 1.2. Gateway is 1.1. If I go to this one, do the same thing. DHCP, it has gotten IP address. So the same. That's for people in. I hope you can see my screen. That's for people in sales. Then let me go to production. Production supposed to be 2.0. So requesting for IP address.
Stop. Can't see your screen.
Sorry? So people in production, they have two. This one I've gotten 2.